Hey everybody, my name is Via Williams and welcome to our Wednesday webinar. Almost every single Wednesday at noon Pacific time, 2 p.m. Central time, we do these. And what these are is they're 1 hour of super jam-packed, value-packed, tactical real estate sales training. These started at the very beginning of COVID and they've kind of taken on a life of their own. And I always choose people to interview that are doing business literally like weeks before I interview them. So very recent business that have a really good business. And my goal is that you leave every single Wednesday webinar with 1 to 3 action items that you can act on within an hour of the webinar. So give us an hour and we'll give you something that you can implement within an hour. These are always free. There is zero obligation and they are open to all agents of all brokerages. And in fact, I'd love you to invite your friends and colleagues, no matter where they're practicing real estate. I am honored that Joe Platts is joining us. Joe Platts is one of the top agents from our Everett office. Welcome, Joe. That's a huge honor to me that you took your time out to join us today. Thanks for being here, buddy. All right, so last week we had a great powerhouse. Okay, we are not live. So Joe Platts, you did not get a shout out on Facebook. That's interesting. I'm gonna try it again. It's never happened to me. It didn't work. We're gonna try it again. Hattie said we're not live. So we're not live. Hattie, you're going to let me know, right? It was bound to happen once. This has never happened in a Wednesday webinar. All right, we're going to try it again. Let's see if this works, Cynthia. Let's see if we can go live on Facebook. Hey everybody, my name is Via Williams and this is our Wednesday webinar. We're going to do this again. Full disclosure, I just did this intro because we thought we were live on Facebook and it didn't work. So we're doing it again. This is our Wednesday webinar. Like I said, we do these pretty much every Wednesday from noon to 1 p.m. Pacific time. And they are designed to give real estate agents super tactical, practical sales training that they can implement right away. My goal is if you give us an hour every Wednesday, within 1 hour of our webinar, you're going to take away 1 to 3 things that you can implement immediately to help your business. I always choose agents who are doing business right now. So these are very, very timely. I always choose, agents who are like, have advice that has worked in the last few weeks, right? And for the rest of the year, most of what we're working on are getting listings because almost the entire nation right now is in a huge inventory crisis. So there's always kind of an angle of getting listings whenever we do these. And lately we've been talking to a lot of agents about farming. Farming is a really great way to do the long game in real estate. The challenge with farming is that it can be expensive and time consuming. So I've been trying to choose agents that started like free, like with no money, and who have built these great farm businesses. And today we're going to talk to Cynthia Freud, who's done that. Really quick though, before we do that, wanted to invite you. Next week is a really special Wednesday webinar. Probably one of the top 3 questions that I personally get, because besides being the director of growth for Kinney companies, I also have sold real estate for 18 years and have a real estate team. And so one of the biggest questions I get is, how did you get into luxury real estate? I have a really good, healthy luxury business. And I know that Jeanette Spinelli in Austin, Texas also gets that question. She has an incredible real estate business. So I'm bringing her on next week. And her and I are going to both talk about, we're going to walk you through the steps that we took to go into luxury real estate. For anybody who's wondering about that, you won't want to miss that. And those are important to be on live because you can interact and ask us questions if you're on live. Of course, there's always replays. Jeanette also has this really, it's kind of turned into this very famous program that she does, and she calls it her arrival and departure concierge service. And she's agreed to share that next Wednesday. So I'm really excited about that one. As always, they are always live on the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group. We're so grateful for James Shaw, Jay Papasan, April Murphy, for everybody who we kind of partner with to go onto that page live every Wednesday. It's just a win-win for everybody that we get to do that. So always want to thank them for that. And for those of you on our mailing list, you know how to get us as well. Today, I really want to focus on Cynthia Freud. I was so impressed with Cynthia. I moderated a panel for Keller Williams Mega Camp, and Cynthia was on the panel. And Cynthia, I think I emailed you within minutes of the panel. I can't quite remember. I'm going to unmute you right now. I think I emailed you within minutes and I said, you have to come on a Wednesday webinar. And so I want to tell everybody a little bit about you. And then I'm going to, we're just going to kind of launch into your business, right?
Great.
Welcome. Cynthia, you got some background noise there too, if you want to.
I do?
I think so.
Something weird is happening on my end. I don't know.
No worries.
But there's like no noise. I'm in a room all by myself, so I'm not sure why that is.
I'm
getting this
voices
weird,
in my head.
Are you hearing weird feedback?
It's fine.
And so just to let you know, I'm thrilled to be here, but I cannot see your face. It's very weird. I have this video preview thing rolling, and I'm sorry, I can't get it off, but that's okay. I can hear you perfectly.
You're lucky you can't see my face. Consider that a blessing. Cynthia, so I just want to talk a little bit about you so that everyone knows who you are, especially if they have any referrals for you. You're in downtown Minneapolis.
Yes.
And you guys have had a fun year, just like we've had in Seattle.
Whoa.
I think that you, Seattle, Portland, and Chicago, we need to get together and go bowling and talk about our cities this year. Anyway, different
Seriously.
topic.
Yeah.
So you've got this really cool niche. You specialize in the downtown Minneapolis condo market, and you've done that for a long time, right? Over 20 years. And you sell all sorts of super cool things like historic warehouse loft, luxury high-rise towers, townhomes, and brownstones. So you've got a really thriving luxury business and a regular business as well. Your team is consistently ranked among the top teams in the Minneapolis Keller Williams Integrity Lakes office, right? Yeah. And you consistently rank as one of the top agents in sales volume in the city of Minneapolis, which is awesome. And what's cool is you got this really cool storefront kind of right in the middle of your farm that we'll show everybody today. And also, huge congratulations to you. I know you and I talked about it this week, but you've been selected as the exclusive sales agent to represent the Four Seasons that's coming to Minneapolis, the first 5-star condotel, whatever you guys are calling it there in the area. So it's huge congratulations to you. I know that's a big honor.
Thank you. Huge honor. Yes.
Yeah. Well, why don't we start? I'd love you to start, Cynthia, by kind of sharing with everybody your new construction background, how you got started in this niche, because I think that's really relevant.
Sure. Well, I just fell into it, to tell you the truth. I know people hate hearing that, but I was in the right place at the right time, and I was kind of open to what the universe was dragging me into. And so the new construction that I started with was all condo conversions from historic warehouses along our riverfront in the late 90s, in like 96, 97, when there was nothing but honestly like drunk Vikings tailgating going on in surface level parking lots. And like,
okay, for a minute I forgot that Vikings was your sports team, and I was literally picturing Vikings.
Oh.
Like, why would there be drunk Vikings? Okay.
No, literally the Minnesota Vikings. So it was kind of no man's land. It was not a developed area at all, but just ripe for the picking. And I didn't know anything better. I was coming out of a 5-year career teaching 4th grade, actually, and had picked up my real estate license and was asked to help out on a new project, which was like I said, a historic warehouse loft conversion. And I just jumped in with both feet. I didn't know anything. That was literally my introduction to real estate. We didn't have anything on MLS. It was like hard hats and closed-toed shoes and, trudging through rubble and trying to get people to imagine looking through this, broken glass and dilapidated brick building onto the riverfront and trying to get them to pay $100 a square foot for what would be the Gold Coast of downtown Minneapolis. So it was
selling
really
a dream,
exciting.
Cynthia, selling the dream, selling the vision there. I love it.
It was crazy. It was crazy. So fast forward 23 years and I have not left the block. I haven't left this neighborhood at all. I just really felt like for me, following the clients that already trusted me, that I had rapport and relationships with, just made the most sense even after each new construction project was complete. So I just stuck with them. I wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah. So for all of our, thank you. And that's just fascinating. For all of our new construction agents, both former and current, that are watching this, and I'm curious, did you start farming each building as you sold it out, or did you kind of plug along and then one day you go, wait a minute, I need to farm all of them? How did that start?
No, I went from literally building to building to building. We just did one after the other that were converted and then some were built new. And so I didn't have time to do any other like resale work at all. We just did new construction one after the other, and ironically all in the same block, just like that one, that one, that one, that one. And so then that literally lasted like, oh gosh, 10 years. Wow. And so 2 maternity leaves later, and inside of that 10 years, I realized, okay, I think I can do this on my own. And so I left the broker that I was with and joined Keller Williams. And that was in 2005, actually. So 8 years. And the new construction explosion in downtown Minneapolis was really coming to an end at that time. And so when I had told the broker that I was with that I was leaving and joining Keller Williams, I'm sure that he thought I would just run off into the suburbs and go sell single-family homes somewhere. And I just thought, I'm not going anywhere. These are my people. This is who I know. This is all I know. And I wasn't in the mood to try to learn anything new. So that's when I hit hard on trying to capture the resale market, because by that time, things were starting to turn over. And there was already a really established market in this little, very small geographic farm. And so I just went for it.
Well, yeah, I mean, in 10 years, because you usually start seeing the first resales, within the year, but that 3 to 5 year mark is a good, cycle, yes. And let alone 7 to 10 years. That's incredible. So what was the first thing? So you go off on your own. Okay. Mm-hmm. What did you do first?
Again, this was like right when I was joining Keller Williams, when this transition was taking place. So, of course, I read the MREA book, and it was really my first time.
The Millionaire Real Estate Agent book by Gary Keller.
Yep, sorry, yep. Exactly. And really tried to kind of get my act together to figure out how I was going to run a business on my own. And I just started with what I knew, and that was my people, and really went out and asked for the business. I got very involved, even more involved than I already was, in like a real grassroots level in the neighborhood. At that time, downtown Minneapolis was growing like gangbusters, and we had just started a brand new farmers market. coincidentally right across from where my office sits today. And that's another thing that just fell into my lap. I happen to be friends with the founder of the market. She asked if I would sponsor it, and I jumped all over it, and was at that market every Saturday morning. I would bring my kids, my grandmother, it was mingle, bring clients, etc. And that was a huge, huge kind of launch, because people knew that I really cared about the community, and it wasn't just for me. It wasn't just about a sale for me. It was really about helping the neighborhood grow and really being a part of it from the very beginning. And I'm really happy and very proud to say that 15 years later, I am one of the only sponsors of that farmers market who has contributed every single year for 15 seasons now. So that's been huge. It's just been huge.
So I love this. So you leave developer world, you come start at Keller Williams, you read a book, and you said a comment that I'd love to drill down on. You said, I just started talking to the people I know and asking for business. How specifically did you start reaching out to the people you know and asking for business?
Well, I think I had a slight advantage, because think about people who are buying condos in a downtown urban area. Many of them are women. Many of them are divorced or widowed women. And if it's a couple, who do you think is making the decision on that purchase? It's the woman.
The woman.
So I leveraged that.
And yes, people, we just said that out loud.
Hear me roar. So, you know what? I am not ashamed of that. I leveraged that all up and down and sideways till Tuesday. I mean, I really just became really tight with a lot of the strong female leaders in this community. And I mean, the smallest things, going out for coffee, going out for lunch, going on, fundraisers together, inviting them to my table to sit at when there's a fundraiser. And, downtown Minneapolis is a very democratic and progressive city as well, and I am too. So I had a lot in common with a lot of women right away, and we would, do things like go to fundraisers together. So it wasn't like I wasn't like going golfing at the country club. It was very kind of grassroots, getting involved with like the farmers market, like building the parks in downtown Minneapolis, anything that had to do with growing and nurturing the community. That's what I was focused on. And people really took note of that.
So I'm curious, so you're getting involved in everything, how did you tie that into real estate? I think a lot of people, I don't know if they ask me a lot, like, my kids, I have 3 kids in school, well, 2 kids in school, and all the things that I do. And they're like, well, how do you tie that into real estate without coming off like you're an Amway salesperson or a used car salesperson? How do you tie all those activities you're doing into making sure they know you're a real estate agent and asking for business in a way that doesn't repel everybody?
Yeah, right. Because that can be kind of revolting, right? And I have to admit, that's really hard for me. So I generally don't ask for the business. I know that's a total opposite from what we teach, but that is hard and it's uncomfortable for me. And so I much prefer to take the position of being an educator or a resource. So I would just much rather be available for people when they have questions about anything. Oh, you got your tax statement, your taxes seem too high. Let me look into that for you. Oh, sure, I'd be happy to give you an idea of what the value would be on your place today. And, really just coming from a standpoint of, I am here for you when you need help, rather than, let me work for you. That just seemed really gross to me. So I never want to be that kind of vulture. I just want to be here to educate and again, to be a resource. And, at that time, I mean, this sounds arrogant. I don't mean it to sound arrogant, but I really did not have a lot of competition, because so many people that wanted to kind of jump on the bandwagon and sell real estate downtown were coming from the suburbs, for example, or they, didn't have any experience. And I knew every single building in this neighborhood inside and out, right down to the very last square inch of the kitchen, you know. So I knew the product, and that's something you can't fake. Yes, you can look on MLS, but my advantage of this in particular area was that none of the projects that I sold were ever on MLS. So I was the gatekeeper. And I think that's really critical for a lot of people. You've got to be able to differentiate yourself between all the other competition that's out there. Anyone can look on MLS, anyone can look on Zillow. There's just so much information out there for consumers and agents. So what makes you different? What's your value, and why should they trust you? So if you can put yourself in the position to be the gatekeeper of all the information, you already have a huge leg up on all the competition.
Okay, I love this, and I want to just stay on that a minute, because I agree, and I've also had really good results with that, and I've also been beat by that. So here's what I'd like to share with our viewers and listeners. You know, everybody has a unique value proposition, and whether it's smoke and mirrors or not, like, does it matter that Cynthia knows every square inch of the kitchen? Can she sell the condo better than you can? Maybe. She's amazing. Maybe not. But what I think is brilliant about that approach, Cynthia, that I also use, is that the sellers think that you can. And so it's a great way to, because the sellers always think that their particular unit is special, or their home, even if it's a subdivision or a condo. Well, no, I have premium lot placement. I'm on a corner. I have the green belt. I've got this, I've got that. And so they want the person that they feel can represent that, and that understands that, you know, so that they can then go on and, you know, that's who they want. That's who they trust to write the marketing comments. That's how they trust you more to negotiate, you know, because you can use those facts, you can outfact anybody. So yeah. I think just really wanted to stay on that a minute. Anytime you're a neighborhood expert, or you've sold out a community because you were in new construction sales, you have the edge. You just have to make sure that everybody knows you do. Don't be a secret agent. And we're going to get into that, right? The other thing I wanted to drill, because there's so much gold in that, Cynthia. I was like biting my tongue because I didn't want to interrupt you. I was like, there's so much to unpack here. The other thing that you said that I really feel strongly about, because I didn't realize how similar our businesses were, and I have personal experience with this, is that, because we're going to go into your emails in a minute, I have a feeling you let your marketing do the heavy lifting, and you just focus on the relationships and being of value. And your marketing is in the background, very consistently letting everybody know, I'm your neighborhood expert. Here's my proof. Here's my third-party proof. I've sold these 9 homes this month, right? So they understand that, because there's not a lot of signs in condos. So you need to send stuff, because they're not seeing signs necessarily, right? Like in a single family neighborhood, right?
No signs. I don't even know a for sale sign.
Yeah, exactly. And so you're letting your marketing do the heavy lifting. That they know exactly who you are, what you do, and what you sell. So you don't have to come off like that used car salesman. And I did that consistently. I've done that over the years, especially with kids in private school and all sorts of target rich environments that people always ask me, how do you translate that to real estate? Well, I do it with my marketing. Mm-hmm. And then I just focus on the people.
That's really powerful. And it just builds so much credibility, especially when it's over and over and it's consistent and it's quality. It's not just like, hey, look at me, want to sell your house with a big picture of me. No, none of that. It's always really fact-based and data-driven. But I would add that, part of what I would consider my marketing is actually my storefront. Because it was perfect timing. In September of 2008, I actually opened my own little storefront, which at Keller Williams we call the mega agent office, and I kind of hate that term, but I guess that is what it is. Right smack, oh God, there's some pictures.
There's some pictures.
Right smack in the middle of this area that I market so heavily to, there happened to be a 900 square foot little office space at the street level that opened up. And I just walked in one day and long story short, I
You walk out with a lease.
walked out with a signed lease, and it was at about the worst possible time in the market. Well, second to what we're experiencing right now. I opened up my own shop, and it was really scary and it was really stressful. I mean, it was right as the market was crashing and the world was crashing around us. And my husband was like, "What are you thinking?" And I couldn't justify it any other way other than this is my gut and I've got to go with this. These are my people. I need to be here in this neighborhood. And I knew that if I didn't, someone else would, and that the thought of that made me sick to my stomach. So I'm like, what? I signed that. Yeah, I'm at year 12 of that lease, and I've got a perpetual 5-year continuation. So I'm not going anywhere, and it just only cemented and the idea that I'm your neighborhood person. I'm your resource. I am here. I'm accessible. Stop in anytime. I don't care if it's just for a doggy treat. But if you need to buy or sell something, I'm here.
Here's what I love about this, because as you know, I run 8 brokerages, 8 Keller Williams here in Western Washington, and here's what I love about this. I talk to so many broker owners of independent real estate agencies that have 2, 5, 10, 15, 20 agents. They are paying for support staff. They're paying E&O insurance. They're paying for a designated broker. Or their one, which means their business is probably suffering a little bit, and they're paying all this overhead. And what you are doing is you're just saying, look, I'm going to just affiliate with Keller Williams and have them shoulder all of that. The only thing I'm going to do is have a storefront, and my Keller Williams brokerage is going to handle the rest. And I think it's absolutely the way to go. I think it's the smartest way to essentially be an indie, but also be powered by the most powerful real estate company in the world. It's really the best of both worlds. So I love that you do that. So I'm seeing here, I don't know if you can see the pictures because you have some challenges with your preview, but this is a picture of your storefront with all of the listing photos on it.
Yes, and those light up at night, of course, because in about a month from now, of course they do. In about a month from now, it'll be dark at 5 o'clock. So, this is working for me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Great. So I can be at home in bed, snuggled up, or I can be in, California or the cabin or Paris or wherever. And this office is working constantly, nonstop. And I just love it when I'll go on an appointment or I'll meet someone and I'll say, oh, how did you hear about me? If I've never met them before, how'd you get my name? And they look at me like, duh. What? I walk by your office 3 times a day. I'm like a stalker. I'm always looking in your window. I get your marketing. I see you at the farmer's market. I see you here and there. And, and so I think it's working. It's working. And that's so validating because it's really scary at first and it's a huge risk, but when I hear things like that, it's very validating. And I think it's important to also note that I'm not just relying on that storefront. I'm touching people in so many different ways all the time, all day, all week, every month of the year. And I can't assume that people are going to be walking past my office, so I've got to touch them in other ways too. I want to make sure that they are tripping over me if they're walking down the street or they're at their friend's house or they're in their lobby or whatever. So it's really important to be hitting them in many, many different ways.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect. A perfect transition to what got me the most excited to have you on, which is your Saturday emails. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing that's how they started, that you needed a way to be in front of them and that you had a lot of emails, which is one of my questions. How do you get all the emails? It's what someone's going to ask. So I might as well ask. I try to anticipate questions and that's what I ask. And so my guess is that you had a lot of the emails selling new construction, and I'd love to learn how you got the rest. But can we start at the beginning with those? When did they start? What did they look like? What was your mindset? And I guess, how have they morphed and what have they done for your business?
Yeah, it was not anything that was really super planned and thought out. Anyone that knows me just knows that I can be a little bit spontaneous and just come up with these random ideas that sound fun. And then I have no idea how to implement them. So, that was one of those random ideas. And I'm sure that I copied the idea from someone else that I saw that was doing it. And I thought, that's really a cool idea. I can do that and I can do it better. And I've seen so many agents in our city that have started it and never followed through. They'll do it for a month or two or a year and then never again. And so it's been really inconsistent and the quality hasn't been that great. And like with anything, I just think, you don't have to be a genius. Just take something that you like and make it better. So we just started with the database that we already had. And obviously, if you're working with clients, you've got their emails. And so start with the people who already know you and want to hear from you and value what you have to say, and then add to that. So we started, I think it was only maybe 2.5 years ago, early 2018. That we started this, and it was pretty raw. I mean, it was really kind of.
Should I show one of your original ones that you shared with me? I asked her to send me like an original one and then a new one. So this is one of your originals, right?
Yeah. Okay. So that was Father's Day of 2018, and that's why the dad reference there. But it was our graphic designer put it together, and we were super proud of that.
Yeah.
It got the basic message out of what we have. Again, the idea is we have total market share. We didn't, of course, but we want people to think we do. And so I would much rather be I'd rather be a big fish in a small pond than just the opposite. So, if we can kind of be the queen of the small castle over here, I'm happy with that. I have no intention of dominating the entire city, but I am very territorial about the different neighborhoods downtown that have the condos where I want to market. I know I'm all over the place here, but that's a whole other story.
Okay. I'm scrolling through kind of one of these. So what I'm seeing is, you highlighted, let me go back to the top. So you highlighted listings, right? So we've got some listings highlighted front and center. So with some coming soons. We can't do that in Washington. Very jealous.
We can't do that anymore here either.
Oh, you can't anymore? Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, those were the days. And then it looks like we've got neighborhood involvement in a database type of an event here that you're promoting. It looks like we've got some a call to action, showing them an event you had.
Those were two big events, and that's another thing. The events that I started doing have become annual traditions, like I know so many people do, but again, it's the giving back. So one was the ice cream social in the park, and that turned out to be an annual summer event. Huge. You give somebody an ice cream cone and you'd think you just gave them keys to a Mercedes. It's just amazing. People love it. And then
I'll choose a Mercedes, but I love that.
Yeah. And then the other event was our little state of the market address that we have done annually as well. And people come and just hear about what's happening in the condo market in downtown Minneapolis. So again, it's that always being the resource and not asking for business, but providing all the information.
That's great. So then, so you basically formed that original list with people that you already knew. How did you get new email addresses, email addresses you didn't have?
That's been a slow process, but I didn't want it to be just like gross spam, just full of garbage and sending out to people that are just going to put it in the trash anyway. So I think it grew really organically, literally one by one with clients that we got, business associates, other agents as well. So as a matter of fact, I just got an email last week from an agent that I've never met her. The name was vaguely familiar. She works in the suburbs, and she just simply said, "Thank you so much for this. I've been getting your emails for a couple years, and I love what you're doing in Minneapolis." I've never even met her. So there again, I'm trying to be a resource for colleagues as well, because the more educated they are, the better we all look, and it makes my job easier. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it just really grew organically, and I think a lot of it is existing subscribers forwarding it to their friends and neighbors, like, hey, are you getting this? You should get this. And then they sign up and so on. And so I did check the stats on this. We started at about 800 subscribers. That was in 2018, and now we're at 1,500. So okay. I don't know if that's good or bad, and I don't care. What I care is that the people that are getting it want to get it and value it. So we have the ability, of course, to check the analytics kind of on the back end. And we have, I think we average about a 38% open rate.
Oh, that's really good. That's
Some
really
as high
good.
as 40% open rate. So that's huge. Mm-hmm. And then we track all the click rates as well. And then of course we can tell our clients, like, okay, your listing was the second most popular listing that was clicked this week, in our Saturday email. And then of course those clicks go straight to our website, and then they can get lost on the website for a long time if they want to. So that's just been a huge resource. And it's so funny because I'll hear from people, and we ask for feedback, by the way. What do you want to see more of? What's not interesting? What's not valuable? And I literally, again, have people I don't know, never met them, have no idea who they are, say, we love getting your Saturday emails. We always know when it's 7 a.m. because we get your email at 7 a.m. every Saturday. And then they talk about it in the gym or down in the lobby. Oh, did you get the email today? Did you read about the new thing that's coming up? Or what about the event that's going on Saturday afternoon? I mean, it's just crazy. So it's effective. Now we have to keep going with it for sure.
Well, I just want to jump in because you're just saying so many gold nuggets right now. A list of 1,500 that you are as interactive with as you are, that are part of your farm, that you're hitting and all, that is a way more valuable list than a list of 50,000 to me. Yeah. Of random people, trying to shoot fish in a barrel, right, with a scatter gun. So, I mean, I think that it's targeted, it's niched. And here's what's interesting. The reason I asked you to share one of your originals is because I knew that once I shared your final product, because I get them, you put me on your list. And so I get your final product. I knew that the minute I shared that, it would feel out of reach for people. And so it was important for me for them to see that what you started with only 2.5 years ago, look at the more. So I'm going to screen share, and I'm going to screen share your new one that is beautiful. But that's why I wanted to start with that one, because I didn't want people to go, oh, forget it. I'm not there. I can't do that. Because I think that A, you've solicited feedback. And B, you just get better over time at anything you do. You start going towards your 10,000 hours. So this is your newest, one of your latest ones, and it's beautiful.
That's our little logo. So every one starts with that little logo.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And I mean, your graphics are spot on. Your color palette is consistent. Your branding is good. It's a really nice use of white space. Immediately when you polled your group, they said they wanted to see data, right? That's what they told you.
That was the number one thing. That's actually the email we sent when we were asking most recently for feedback. We want to hear from you. So they can click and take a little survey and then leave comments. And it was overwhelming. Data. We want the facts, Jack. I mean, that's what people want.
Well, and it's data in their own neighborhood. This is micro neighborhoods, right? Which is exactly what they want. They can find state of Minneapolis or city of Minneapolis, state of Minnesota data anywhere, county data. This is this is what matters to them. What's happening in our neighborhood.
Right. And we will pinpoint it right down to the building. So we've been invited by different homeowners associations to come and talk to their building to do a specific tailored event just for that building. I mean, that's how far down we will take it. Because, in any big city, this building necessarily has nothing to do with the values of the building next door. They may not be apples and oranges, you know,
For sure.
So just like in any city, you can't look at all of Minneapolis and St. Paul, the Twin Cities metro area, and think that that's the data for everything. It's not. So I always, again, I'm trying to be the educator and the resource and tell people, you've got to pull out the downtown condo data and separate that from the rest of the pack, because that paints an entirely different picture. And this year, it's not a pretty picture. And I'm being really honest with people about that.
Yeah, I mean, you could see units sold is down 23.4%, you know, year on year. That is rough. That's rough.
And you think my phone doesn't start ringing at 7:05 a.m. after people look at that?
Average price down 1.7%. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have questions. It's meant to generate curiosity and questions and interest. But you know, I want to make sure people know that this takes time. This takes a lot of experience to be able to answer questions that those people have. I mean, I've been doing this for 23 years, so I don't want new agents to think that this is overnight. You're going to have all the answers. There's no silver bullet other than experience and hard work. You know, you have to know your product.
And you have to preview. You have to preview. I say it till I'm blue in the face, especially if you guys, any of you watching, want to get into luxury. You have to commit to the discipline of previewing product every single week. It's really the only way that you're gonna learn, and it'll ramp up your learning curve. So
guess what? When you have but can I just jump in?
Of course.
When you have a small enough geographic farm, that's easy to do. I'm not covering 50 square miles. Now, don't get me wrong. I am surrounded by so many people much smarter than I am who cover massive territory. I don't know how they do it. For me, I wanted a very small, very boutique-y, very niche type of business. So it's very easy for me to know all the product because I'm not driving 40 miles a day. I'm walking 4 blocks. You know, I mean, so.
Do you live in this market area as well?
No, but everyone thinks I do.
I love that.
So I've got 2 teenagers at home. You would not want me living in the apartment above you. So, but.
I get that, sister. I get that. So, but here's the thing, because no, you do not have to live in your farm. And I tell people that all the time, and they don't believe me. They think, well, yes, you have to live in your farm. Tiffany Fikes, who we had on a few weeks ago, that has a huge farm business in Nashville, she doesn't live in her farm either. And she kind of answered it the same way. No, but they all think I do, you know, and she'll sometimes drive to go walk her dog in that neighborhood.
Yep. The beauty is my office is in the farm. So they're seeing me all the time at every single restaurant. I mean, I make sure they are seeing me. And that's huge. I mean, those personal relationships. So yes, they can get your emails. Yes, they can get your direct mail flyers. They can, you know, get your tweets, whatever. But nothing will ever replace seeing you face to face.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go down. I love how, so you have the data and then you immediately solicit feedback, which is interactive. And I love it. There's a lot of studies that show that engagement is increased if somebody knows they're going to be asked about something. So you have that right up front. Talk to us about this. What happens when they click these boxes that say click below? For all of you listening, driving, can't see the screen, there's a box that says click below to curate the best content for you. And then the choices are listings, events and neighborhood happenings, market data, lifestyle and leisure pieces. I almost said leisure like I was Canadian. Behind the scenes with Cindy and Lynn, spotlight series. So do you have different emails for each one of these interests? What happens?
No, but it's one, everybody gets the same email, but we will use this kind of information to understand what people want the most of. So it's obviously not, you know, data was the most important thing people want, but that's kind of boring. So we do sprinkle in lifestyle pieces. We have little series that we've started, little spotlight series, but we want to make sure that there's a nice variety for everyone because not everyone wants to see charts and graphs all day. So we'll put video in, we'll do neighborhood events, you know, things to that nature, lifestyle type of things.
And I love, so you've got video embedded in here. It looks really, really sharp. That's fantastic. Beautiful design, how you're featuring your listings. I think this is really, really great. Really, really well done in the right order, I think, too. Data on top, soliciting, and then because everyone's a real stalker. Everybody wants to see the listings. So you're like, you're going to see a couple things before you get here. I think it's really, really great. Call to action embedded right in here, right there. Love that. Browse the full collection, another click through that can go to, I'm assuming, your IDX feed. I'm assuming that goes to your website. Is that?
It does go to our website. And actually, to be honest, the listings that you just scrolled through, those are only half of our current listings because we have so much inventory right now that the scrolling of all the listings was getting to be so long and exhaustive. We just thought, oh my God, we can't show all this
you're the
inventory.
only person in the United States that has too much listing inventory right now, FYI. So we're all like, what?
So we had to cut our list in half. You're either the A list or the B list, and we go every other week with putting in the new list, the listings, because the list was getting so long. So and then it just looks stale. We don't want the inventory to start looking stale. And also, this is really exhausting for my team that puts this together, but we put new photos in of each listing every single week because we don't want them to ever look the same. We want to keep it fresh and keep things exciting. So we switch up the photos every time.
Got it. And then down here, it looked like there's an event. Farmers Market. Farmers Market. Beautiful design, beautiful sketches. I really love what you've done with that. And then
giving away our free pumpkin.
Sidebar.
Oh, that's join Instagram. Follow us on Instagram.
Oh, great.
Again, a whole nother avenue. You get our Saturday emails, but you're not following us on Instagram. Better do that.
Well, we will all follow you on Instagram. And then this is, love this. It's tying you back to your space, which is, I would argue, your number one marketing tool would be your office.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yep. Yeah, there we go. We always want to give the visual reminder of where they can find us.
Share the love. Book a showing. I love this. More button call to actions, which I think is fantastic. And this is MailChimp, it looks like. Is this MailChimp?
Yes.
Okay. And so you've got a graphic designer who is, I'm assuming, doing these dynamically. So when we say dynamically, everybody, that means that if I'm on Safari, it's going to open up right. If I'm on Chrome, it'll open up right. If I'm on a mobile, it'll be mobile optimized. Our designer does that for us too. And I can't speak for you. It costs a little money. You don't have to start there. You don't have to start there. That's why I showed you her original one. MailChimp has beautiful templates, and MailChimp plugs into Brivity. It plugs into Command. It plugs into most CRMs you're probably using. And I like MailChimp, Cynthia, because it gives you the analytics. When people open it and when they click through.
Yep. It's really
fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed. So let's go into the numbers a little bit. So we started with 800, we moved up to 1,500. And how many, can you track how many appointments you set a week on that, a month? How many direct pieces of business can you attribute to that? Or would you say that it's just such a constellation of everything you're doing, it's hard to attribute one thing?
Yeah, it's generally never, when I ask how did you hear about us when I go on a listing appointment? It's generally never one thing. They don't say, oh, I know you are a sponsor of the farmers market, or, oh, I walk by your office, or, oh, I get your market. It's all those things. I get your marketing, and I walk by your office every single day, and you sold my neighbor's home, and I won tickets from you when you did your ticket giveaway for the International Film Festival. It's generally a lot of different things, and that is no mistake. That is not an accident. That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, this is fantastic. I think that what you exemplify is the notion of going small to go big, and in fact, it reminds me, Cynthia, of Reese and Trout's book, Positioning, which is basically find a market segment that you can be number one in. Right?
I have not read that yet. Positioning.
It's a classic book, and I highly recommend it to everybody. Reese is spelled R-I-E-S. And so that's what this reminds me of. So we have a lot of agents here who are either former new construction agents, current new build, new construction agents. Every region has different names for it, or simply are neighborhood experts. What advice would you give them as we kind of wrap this up? What advice would you give them to just start? They're overwhelmed. They're like, I want to start a resale business. I kind of want to jump in and do what Cynthia did. What would you say would be a good first step and maybe second step for them?
I mean, there's just so many tools to pick in the toolbox. I think do what feels most natural for you. I think a lot of people feel like, oh, I have to have a fancy website. Oh, I have to have a team. Oh, I have to have a billboard or ad in the magazine or whatever, or, my own office or whatever. I mean, you don't have to have the fancy website or the, 10,000 followers on Instagram or whatever. This is a people business. And if you don't have your people, you don't have a business. So you really have to start there. And we have a saying in the office this has been a tough year. I'm not going to lie. We've been doing a lot of head scratching and soul searching. And the bottom line is what my teammate Lynn and I always say to each other is, when we ask, how are we going to do this? The response is always the same. One by one.
That's right.
We are going to do this one by one. I could almost cry because that's literally everything. That's everything. Whether it's business or personal relationships, that's how I built this business. That's how I built a team. It's not 10 by 10 or 1,000 by 1,000. It is literally one by one. And if you do a good job with one client, that is going to just be so powerful because they're going to tell 10 clients or 10 of their friends. And the best form of referrals is when you don't have to ask for them. It's when your clients are bringing them to you. And the best form of marketing is when you don't have to say a word, but your clients are doing it for you. And when you are marketing in a very small, concentrated area, that is exponential. I mean, because all it takes is one person to be in an elevator with 5 other people and start talking about you. Think about that. I mean, that spreads faster than coronavirus.
Okay, I literally, when you said that, I'm like, we can't get in an elevator with 5 people, but I liked your analogy. I'm like, I can't, like, my brain is already changed. I'm like,
they would have their mask on and they'd be talking about you. But
no, I mean,
so again, I think is when you are concentrated enough on a small area, and again, hats off to those people who, have like 5 counties they're covering. I don't know how they do it. But everyone has their own different thing, and you just have to do what works best for you.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's a great place to wrap, because what I'll leave everybody with, which Cynthia was basically saying, is that remember that success is not simultaneous. Success is sequential. And it's easy to beat yourself up, and it's easy to think of it as an event, whereas it's a process. So success is a sequential process, not a simultaneous event. And, I have to, that's a mantra. That's an affirmation I'm telling myself as I tell you. So Cynthia Freud, thank you. If anybody has any downtown condo, Minneapolis referrals, I think it is undisputable. We know who we are going to send our referrals to. There's just no question in my mind that nobody knows that market as well as you. Thank you so much. I know how busy you are. It's such an honor that you would spend this time with us. So we thank you for being here. And I just wanted to really invite everybody next week. I'm, talking about how I grew my luxury business, and Jeanette Spinelli, to do it with Jeanette Spinelli is huge. And I'm super excited to dive into that with her and listen to your questions and answer your questions and be really interactive. So join us next week, and thank you, everybody. We have so many loyal viewers who come on every single Wednesday, and I know you and I know your names now, and it's been really fun getting to know you. And when we send our emails out, I love your responses. I love interacting with you. So thank you for that, you guys. All right, everybody, have a fantastic week. Cynthia Freud, we think you're amazing. I'll talk to you guys all next Wednesday.
Thank you so much. Thank you.